Okay. So our group is all about highlighting, elevating, bringing together the LGBTQ plus community and its allies. The Pride for us is all year round. Today's agenda is all about user-friendly design. We have some updates to share. I'll share a little bit about Transgender Day of Remembrance that's coming up. Then we have an awesome presentation from Eric and Cait on 10 steps to user-friendly design. After that, we'll have an attendance prize giveaway and have a save the date for our next event. All right. So if you're looking for more ways to get involved in the Tableau community, we want to hear from you. There's so many ways to get involved and connect with other Tableau users and contribute. If you're interested in getting featured in the Tableau community blog, Lawrence and I can help with that. If you have like an event in mind, some kind of new idea, we would love to hear it. Or maybe you want to speak at a meeting and have that new opportunity. We'd love to have you do that, or even join the leadership team. We're a fun bunch, Lawrence and I, and we'd love to have your participation. And if you're just looking for more ways to see what this whole Tableau community is all about, reach out to us. We're on Twitter and LinkedIn, and you can also email us at data.pride.tug@gmail.com. We'd love to have your participation. Another thing that's coming up in end of November and December is the DataFam card exchange. This is just a fun way to connect with the DataFam. You fill out the participation form with your name and address by November 30th. And then at the beginning of December, Autumn Batani and Michelle Freeman will send you who your recipient is, and then you send a card. So you send a card and you get a card. And it's just kind of a nice way to wrap up the year. You don't have to be a big holiday person for it or anything. And I just wanted to pass that along. The QR code leads you to Autumn's blog page all about the card exchange. So if you're just looking for a way to connect with more people in the Tableau community, that's a way to do that. And now a little bit about Transgender Day of Remembrance. It's coming up on November 20th. It's November 20th every year. And it's a way to honor those who have lost their lives to anti-transgender violence. It's not only a day of mourning, but also an opportunity for reflection and action. And it encourages people to be more aware of transphobia and related issues within the trans community, within the LGBTQ plus community, and so that we can work together to create a safer world for all gender identities. We honor loved ones we've lost to violence and celebrate those who are still here. And we speak up loudly about the disparities we face in hopes that others will see and understand. We lift up the voices of the most marginalized in our communities, and understanding that together we all will rise. So I just wanted to share that since it's coming up before the next time we see you. And just something to keep in mind for later on this month. All right. Now for our presenters, presenting on 10 steps to user-friendly design. This was a very popular presentation at Tableau Conference 2023, listening with the headphones and the silent disco. and um, Eric and Cait shared some wonderful tips, and I wanted to bring them back to the group to share with you all. Eric Balash and Cait Sojka both work at Lovelytics and have a lot of Tableau experience, Tableau training experience to share with us. Eric is also a Tableau ambassador and the co-lead on the Back to Viz Basics project. So if you liked the Pride data sets back in June that we collaborated on, that's where that's from. So we're so happy to have you here. Eric and Cait, take it away.
Awesome. All right. Thank you so much, Sarah. Hi, everybody. All right, let me share and we'll get started. Okay. Like that. All right. Back up one slide here. All right. So here we are. Our presentation is 10 steps to user-friendly design. Like Sarah said, Cait and I had the pleasure of delivering this presentation twice at Tableau conference. It was a lot of fun just to see how many people lined up for our session. And so now we're kind of doing the traveling roadshow of this presentation. It's been really fun just to share. I think at the end of the day, even if you don't have a design background, moral of the story is if you can follow our 10 steps here, you'll be able to turn a very simple dashboard into something that kind of has that more modern and cool looking feeling to it. So just to introduce my co-presenter today, Cait Sojka. She's a lead trainer at Lovelytics. She's Tableau certified. She actually worked at Tableau for 2.5 years before she joined Lovelytics, so she knows the product in and out. She's a member of the Austin Tableau User Group Advisory Board. And outside of work, enjoys bouldering, caring for her houseplants, and spending time outside with her husband, Ben, and their dog, Ruby.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Eric. And Eric is exceptionally talented and a busy individual. So he is the manager of data visualization at Lovelytics, making him not only my friend, but also my boss. He is a 3-time public ambassador for Tableau, has 4 Visit the Days, is the co-leader of millennials, or of the Back to Viz Basics Tableau community initiative, and is also in his ever-dwindling free time, also a trainer with a nonprofit called Millennials and Data. And Eric, also in exciting news, was married last month to the love of his life, Olivia, and is a dog dad to their very, very adorable, cute little poodle there, Loki.
When I was going through the slides, I realized I had to update fiance to husband. So put a smile on my face. A little bit about Lovelytics. We're a data and analytics strategy services and solutions company. We've been a partner with Tableau for a number of years now. In 2020, we received the Rising Partner of the Year award. And in 2021, received Databricks 2021 Innovation Partner of the Year. So a lot of really cool things going on at our company. We have 5 other Tableau ambassadors that work with us and 1 Tableau visionary. If you have any questions around business intelligence, data engineering, cloud modernization, or AI, feel free to reach out to us. We'd love to just talk with you. So quick little plug there. Here's our agenda for today. So these are the 10 steps that we're going to be going through. Order by importance, format font, use color consistently, adjust padding and white space, clear the clutter, leverage containers, apply interactivity effectively, consider navigation methods, build trust in the data, and save time and templatize. So we'll go through each one of these in detail. Within each one of these components, we have a few key components that we want to cover. We might not cover all of them, but just keep in mind, with the dashboard scenario that we're working through, not everything is going to apply. Some may apply. So we're just going to focus on a few here and there, but it's important to keep all of them in consideration when building out your dashboards. And then we do have some fun giveaways at the end of the session as well. All right, so 10 steps to user-friendly design. here we go. So here's our scenario. Dear DataPride Tableau user group attendees, we need your help. We built a set of professional services suite dashboards, but we need them to look modern and cool. I think all of us have been asked by folks at our organization or clients to make dashboards look modern and cool. Well, how do we do that? We want them to follow our brand guidelines, be interactive and user-friendly. We need them as soon as possible. Of course, they never give us any time to build anything, so we just need to get it done as fast as we can. And then they ask, can you help us? And we always say yes. So let's take a look at what we built here. So here's our dashboard. Not terrible answer, right? I overall think that this is pretty usable. Gives me some good insights into things, but just, as we kind of dive into it, there are a few things that are a little off. I see some pretty heavy text in my KPIs and my titles. I see a lot of different colors all over the place, some different font types, some weird alignments. So just a few little things are off, but let's see how we can, go through the process of that 10-step checklist and improve upon this dashboard to get it to something that we're really proud of. All right, number 1, order by importance. Our key concepts here: order from top to bottom, left to right. Most important and aggregated on the top, and the less important and more granular on the bottom. Consolidate headers for smoother readability, and place supporting items close to related. So as we kind of go through this section, the orange box correlates to the dark color that's highlighted on the left. So that way you kind of know what topic we're talking about. And like I said, we're not going to be able to hit on all of these, but they're important to consider anytime that we're developing a dashboard. So order from top to bottom, left to right, right? That's how we read. I hope that's all we read. So that's how we want to organize our information. So we want to make sure that our KPIs, that really important information, all those aggregated big angry numbers that we hear, that they're at the top. And as we get a little bit more detailed into our analysis, then we kind of order by importance going down. So the more important information should be closer to the top. What are those business questions that my stakeholders really care about? And as we get down, the dashboard or however we have it organized, we can order by less importance there. So, still good information to have, but probably not the most important information that my stakeholder wants at the top of the dashboard. Place supporting items close to related. I see this a lot on dashboards, and sometimes it can really throw a user off. So what we have highlighted here, I'll first talk about the filters on the right-hand side. So by default, when you drag a worksheet onto your dashboard canvas, Tableau automatically groups the filters on the right-hand side of the dashboard. And that's great. No problem with that. If that's where we want to keep them, great. But if we want to move them around, let's keep them close to each other. But let's also keep in mind, do those dashboards apply to every single worksheet on my dashboard, or do they only apply to, a few? So what we would want to do there is, if they apply to everything, probably keep them across the top or on the left or right-hand side, and maybe add a little note for context that says, these are your global filters. They apply to everything. Now, if we move over into the conversions per webinar chart, right, we have a parameter there that shows the top 5. I've placed that parameter close to that chart because that parameter only applies to that worksheet. If I had it over with my filters and I change that to show the top 10, but we only show, one chart updating and the KPIs didn't update, it might be a little bit confusing. And I think the minute that our dashboards become confusing or something seems like it doesn't work, our leaders and stakeholders don't want to use it. They say, this is wrong. I just export the data and give it to me. So we want to ensure that we're communicating, the right meaning based off of where we place our filters and parameters. So same thing goes for the info icons. Those small little icons apply to those charts. So if you hover over them, they'll give you information about that chart. So we want to make sure that whether it's a global filter, we have it grouped in a global space, or if it's, an individual worksheet filter, that it's placed close to that worksheet. So if we order by importance and we take these key concepts and apply it to our dashboard, this is what an updated version would look like. So we've taken the title that was next to the KPIs and we've moved that to the top and kind of separated that out. We've got rid of that extra column on the right-hand side where our filters are and moved it with our title. So that way we have some more space to play with. And then we've organized our charts in order of importance. So, based off of what my stakeholders wanted in this particular scenario, the conversions per month area chart and the conversion timeframe bar chart were more important. So we moved those up. Just some other examples here of ordering by importance. KPIs never be on the right-hand side or the bottom. They just don't communicate to our users that they're important. So we always want to make sure that they're at the top or the left-hand side. The other thing I really want to point out about this one is if we look at the chart on the left, right, our employee turnover dashboard answers 3 different types of questions. When is turnover happening? Who is turnover happening to? And why is it happening? So what we've done, instead of just having our charts all mixed up on the left-hand side, we've organized them on the right-hand side into those columns of the types of questions that they're answering. So another really nice way that we could organize things on our dashboard. Another example here, KPIs on the bottom, just they look a little off, right? So we move them to the left-hand side. But what I really want to point out on this one is one of the things that we mentioned was consolidating headers. So if we take a look at our top 10 states by amount chart and our small sparkline chart, right? They're kind of showing the same things, but what we've decided is we've combined them in the right-hand side. So rather than having these headers repeat twice, we've combined them into one. So now we get the top 10 states by amount with the amount, and then we show that value over time. So we've consolidated it into one chart. So kind of a nice way that you can clean up some of your visuals by combining things into one rather than, just showing a lot of text on your dashboards. Format your font. So we'll go into the chart on the right, so no need to rush to write that down. And we'll also share out these slides, so no need to take notes at all. But key concepts here: 1, font type. Verify that selected font type is applicable on Tableau Cloud. Both use bolded text sparingly for emphasis, limit your font sizes, and use legible font types. So 1 font type throughout the dashboard. It just it throws it a little off. We have a mix of like Calibri here with the Tableau fonts and Arial and Times New Roman. And, why it's not the biggest deal, it's just a little bit distracting. We just want to be consistent. Verify that your selected font type works with Tableau Cloud, if you're using Tableau. So kind of the same applies for Tableau Public. They only support a certain amount of font types. Which is, a little bit annoying to me when you have the whole options of all these different font types and then they're not supported. It's also really important to note that depending on the browser that you're using and whether you're using, different operating systems, fonts will render differently. I once built a dashboard in Calibri on a Windows machine, and somebody opened it up on a Mac, and it looked like this really ugly newspaper font. So at the end of the day, and I actually think if you go to the Flurridge twins, their website, they dive really deeply into all different font types and things like that. At the end of the day, use the Tableau fonts. Other than that, use like really web safe fonts such as Arial. So those are the 2 I highlighted. I think I always use Arial for my dashboards. I still think it has kind of that very modern look to it, and it works really well with, across different systems. So when in doubt, the Tableau fonts or some of these more common fonts. Use bold text sparingly for emphasis. It's definitely okay to use bold for dashboards, but we want to use it sparingly. I probably don't need bold on the title. It's really heavy. I also probably don't need to bold out those KPIs. They're already a much bigger text than everything else. Maybe I could use a different color choice, but I think the bold is okay there, but probably not need it as well. I do like to, bold certain things in charts if I want to call a specific thing out. So we just want to make sure that we're not bolding every single label, every single header. We don't need to do that. Even with the axes labels, like we don't need to label or bold everything there. It just gets distracting because the heavier the font and the darker it is, the faster our eyes are going to go to that. So we just want to make sure that we're not, being distracting by adding a lot of bold. Limit our font sizes. This is what I stick to: no more than 4 font sizes per dashboard. That doesn't mean that your chart headers or your worksheet titles can be either 11, 12, 13, or 14. Just pick one size and stick with it. We want to make sure that we're staying consistent. So I should only see 4 different font sizes throughout your dashboard. And then make sure, finally, that you're just using legible fonts. Nobody wants to see your dashboards in Papyrus or Broadway, unless if you're building something fun for Tableau Public. So if we take these key concepts and apply it to this dashboard, this is what our updates would look like. We've standardized our font type. We've changed the sizes, so we're only using 4 font sizes throughout the dashboard, and we've got rid of some of that extra boldness that we had. Some other examples. So we can see on the left-hand side, labels are quite distracting just because they're so much bigger and bold. I'll also point out that we want to make sure that our font choices are accessible. So we'll talk about that in terms of color in a second, but taking a look at the gray KPI section, the gray KPI on the light gray background can be really hard to see. So there are certain generators that we can put our font choices into, the weight, the size, the background color, and it will spit out a response that says you're good to go, or no, you should make your background lighter, or you should make your font, darker, and it'll give you suggestions. So always recommend trying that out if you're not sure. If you have the thought of, hey, this looks a little hard to see, probably should change it. Use color consistently. All right, so when in doubt, design in grayscale first. From there, we can start to add in dominant colors. Probably only want to use 1 or 2 per dashboard. Be consistent within and across dashboards. I don't want to see, one dominant color on one, and then all of a sudden we've totally changed color palettes on a different one. We want to make sure everything is staying, kind of within that same color palette range. Draw from brand colors with custom color palettes and ensure accessibility for color blindness. All right, so design in grayscale first. I think adding color to a dashboard can be really difficult. When I was first starting out with Tableau, I felt like I spent so much time trying to figure out, well, what color should this be? I don't know what color to make this. Just start in grayscale first. Get your charts built. Even just use the regular old blue that Tableau has, if that's what you want to use just to get started. But keep it simple. And then from there, you can start to add in the color. So when we're adding in color, we want to use 1 to 2 dominant colors throughout our dashboard. Finally, as we're adding that in, we need to be consistent. What we're highlighting here is, let's take a look at our different charts here. First off, the chart on the left-hand side, I have this scale of blue changing with the value, right? It gets darker as the value goes up. We don't need to do that, right? The height of the area chart already communicates that it's a larger value. So we don't need to be duplicative with, color and height and things like that. So I probably just remove the color from that chart. Jumping over to our conversion time frame, red and green. I think we're pretty familiar that we shouldn't be using red and green. If we jump down to the bottom, conversions per webinar, we do not need to color every single dimension a different color. I think we've all seen like the crazy pie chart of like 27 or more different slices. And it's like, well, why are we doing that? So you don't need to color every dimension a different color. And finally, the last one, it's not totally wrong, but for consistency's sake throughout the dashboard, what does blue mean? Is blue looking at my, conversions per month? Is, looking in the right-hand side? Is it the number of records? So, right, we really don't have an idea of what the color blue means. So we want to make sure that if, we're saying, all right, everywhere you see blue is going to be sales, then let's make sure we're consistent with that and we're not mixing in other measures. Draw from brand colors with your custom color palette. So I've dropped the Lovelytics color palette here. I've chosen to go with one of our secondary company colors. So all of your organizations or your clients' organization should have approved branding guides. Ask for those and use those colors within your dashboard, right? I think it's really important to brand everything that you're building so it looks like it's a part of your company's brand that you have. So making sure that you're using the approved logos and using those approved colors. Font types, probably okay to stray away from based off of what I said earlier, but I think it's really important to incorporate those company colors. All right, so a lot of updates here, but if we take the color concepts and apply them into this dashboard, this is what we could have. So we've gotten rid of all those extra colors and we've decided to keep the blue as our dominant color. We've had a few different shades of it here and there just for like different highlighting purposes, which is okay, but mainly sticking with that blue. And then our lighter color we're using white as our background, but then also a light gray. So we're kind of using that dark blue for emphasis throughout the dashboard and using that lighter gray color as our backup. Some examples here. Now taking a look at this one on the left-hand side, you might not have a problem with it, right? Every region's colored a different color, but the problem is, what does purple mean? Purple is showing sales under West, Central, and South, but then our South bars are color purple. So we're not really staying consistent with our color purple there. So what we've chosen to do on the right-hand side is we've said, okay, anywhere that you see the color orange, that indicates poor performance. So anywhere that you see that, that's a subcategory that's performing, that's not performing well, or our sales trend is trending down, or our percent difference per month was negative. So that's where we've brought in orange to indicate a particular thing. If we didn't want to go that route and we wanted to color our regions a different color, then we would do something like this. We would just stay consistent with those colors throughout the dashboard. So now that anywhere that I see red, I know that I'm looking at my East region. So just kind of updating the one on the left just to be more consistent. All right, number 4, adjust padding and white space. So key concepts: use padding for white space and to separate your thoughts and topics. Group charts together by using the same background color. Add borders to your charts or containers to grab your user's attention, and make sure you're adding at least 10 pixels of inner padding to your charts. All right, so padding and white space. Taking a look at what we have here, everything is really, backed up to the end of our dashboard. We're really not giving our fonts any space to breathe. So anywhere that I have arrows, that's probably where we want to bring things in a little bit. If you're not familiar with, when you're on the dashboards, when you're building a dashboard within Tableau and you go to the layout tab, that's where you have options for inner and outer padding, and you can add that to any dashboard object that you bring onto your canvas. So we want to play around with that to kind of create more of that white space between our charts. So I typically add about 10 pixels of padding at a minimum. I think my average is pretty usually 25, 30. Just kind of really separates things nicely. And I want to make sure I'm staying consistent with that for balance as well. If I'm adding 25 between, these charts up here, I also want to add 25 here and not 30, because then things would not be aligned. So very particular, but I promise you it's important. Add borders to charts or containers to grab users' attention. So I don't mean add a thick, dark border like we have here, right? That's very distracting. We do not need to do that. But if we have a group of charts that are all related, or maybe a filter applies to 3 of those charts, we can group those charts by using a similar background color, or just group them into a container with a border. And then I know everything within that section applies, is related, or those filters apply to it, or I should check out all those charts before I move to something else. So we're just trying to communicate to our user, based off of our groupings, our background color, or borders, that all these things are